Alrighty. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Marzzman here, and welcome to Marzzman Gaming. In this video, we break down the biggest gaming news topics of the week, and as always, I need my boys along with me. So we have the Marzzman crew with me here. To my left is Haki, and to my right is Langelikill. All right. So first off, we obviously have a new setup today. We basically are working with a live newscast, and I kind of want to make sure that all sound here is working, just because I want to make sure all of our, I think here we go. Now you guys are good to go. All right, so I think we're ready to roll now, just to make sure. I have a whole new setup today. I wanted us to try out a different formatting for today's show, just because, you know, I want us to kind of expand what we normally do, and usually we have a nice little recording here, but I want us to try out a live newscast just so we can keep us on our toes. So obviously, if you haven't seen one of these videos before, essentially what we do is we try to basically talk about the biggest gaming news topics of the week. And, you know, as I always say, sometimes there's always a new game topic that kind of happens right out of the blue. So it's kind of up to us to kind of try to stick to it as much as possible. And if we don't get to cover something that happens, then I guess we'll just cover it on the next week's episode. So I kind of want to jump into the first thing, and I kind of want to first off actually welcome the audience. We have some people on YouTube and on Twitch. Freight Train, what's up, dude? Waffle, how's it going?
What's up, boys?
What's up, everybody? How we doing out here tonight? Lucas, what's up? You saw us starting with the F Microsoft. Jeez, bro. Relax, dog.
Early USAS. We haven't even gotten to the topic yet.
I don't even get into the topic yet. Jesus, dude. Just want to check to make sure that all sound here is all good. I'm putting on some music in the background just to try out some stuff. So here we go. Let me just. Is all sound good for everyone here?
Yeah. Let's go.
Marco says one of the most toxic hypocritical. Jesus, oh my God, man, the hatred is spewing over here. But let's jump right to the first topic then, just to get us started. First things first, we gotta talk about I like to call it the Law and Order fanboy unit, and it's essentially the court case that's going on for the acquisition of basically Activision and Blizzard, and essentially basically right now we've talked so far to give everyone a heads up, at least of what happened up to this point. Essentially, they were battling over whether or not whether Xbox or Microsoft should have the ability to purchase Activision. And that's kind of the big thing I've noticed so far is Sony came out and said that, you know, this could alter basically everything, whether it's going to be like the issues of, you know, how many people would actually buy Sony PlayStations, or really like the number of PlayStations being sold, because of the fact that Call of Duty is majority of the fan base is played by Sony players. And on top of that, they kind of had used the idea that, you know, Call of Duty is in its own brand, essentially, in the popularity that it has. So Xbox came out recently, and it was this past week, they had announced basically like their arguments against what Sony was stating, and essentially was that, you know, they stated that Sony was using a practice known as blocking rights. And what that means is blocking rights is that Sony would pay extra money in order for basically games to not go on a subscription service on a competitor. Whether that means it will not go on Game Pass, whether it means it will not go on Stadia. And they basically said that it's kind of hypocritical for basically Sony to make a claim that they will, you know, change or really change the framework of any sort of system, when these types of practices were happening under Sony and as well as other places. And that essentially that, you know, Sony is stating that Microsoft would create basically a monopoly over all gaming subscription services if this purchase had gone through. And, you know, one thing I'll say is this. You know, I'll give you a quote here based off the article of what is stated that Microsoft had kind of used as an argument here, saying that Microsoft's ability to continue expanding Game Pass has been hampered by Sony's desire to inhibit such growth. And they're talking specifically about Game Pass's growth, stating that, you know, Game Pass, right, if they're going to be a monopoly over everything, how could they be a monopoly if this entire time there are several other subscription services out there? Microsoft had claimed that Sony in particular was paying for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and or other competing subscription services. So essentially, basically what they're saying here is that they're essentially doing a practice that a lot of people were rumoring that was happening or wasn't happening a few years ago, where there were confirmed reports that Sony was doing these things, basically paying for companies not to go on a subscription service like Game Pass or Stadia. But people are misconstrued that this is like an illegal practice. This is not an illegal practice. It's essentially a practice done by businesses to make sure that their competitors aren't getting the edge by having games go to their services. So essentially what happens is Microsoft is using this point to say, hey, we can't really be a monopoly if, these practices that we're doing right now, purchasing Activision and basically using that as a way to, kind of outdo our competition. That's not necessarily like a monopolistic ideal. It's a constant ideal that's been happening for generations when it comes to how Sony does their business, how Microsoft's done the business before. Nintendo, not really so much because they don't really do that to a certain degree, but they do have exclusives that they don't put on every console. So essentially, that's kind of the mix and match. And the big thing I want to talk about, and I want to give my little spew here just because this is the fanboy unit, and I want to talk to the fanboys from both perspectives here. First off, the state that, for Xbox fanboys out there that have gone out and said that, Sony's looking weak or pathetic by trying to make these arguments. First off, the fact is that this has been a practice for a long time. Sony's trying to make a case so that they don't lose Call of Duty possibly in an exclusive deal, right? And anyone that was in this shoe, if Microsoft is in this same spot as Sony, they would be doing the exact same thing because this is going to hurt their bottom dollar at the end of the day, right? Sony understands that if this deal goes through, and I can almost guarantee you that it will go through, that essentially they will lose a lot, right? And Microsoft, if they were in the same spot, they would be fighting this tooth and nail. And I would also say to the same point from the other perspective is Sony fanboys, you have to understand is that Xbox is not being a monopoly. They're not going to destroy gaming by promoting their Game Pass solution. Essentially, this is their strategy, and you can't really be destroying the gaming industry if basically every major company like Sony has a subscription service created. So you can't make the case that Xbox's Game Pass will destroy everything if you yourself have a company that does the similar kind of thing, right? So it's kind of like looking at both sides and saying, you're dumb for thinking one way and you're dumb for thinking the other way, because at the end of the day, this is a similar business practice that has been going on for generations. It's been happening for generations, and let's stop spewing BS here and stating that one company is wrong for doing one thing while the other one is doing perfectly fine, right? It's BS, right? This is competitiveness. This is what console wars are, right? It's a competitiveness to each other. So I kind of want to get that off my chest here. I want to ask you guys first, do you think that blocking rights is a fair practice by Sony to keep games on their platform? I want to go with Langelikill first. Do you think that this is a fair practice according to, people, this is unfair what they're doing? Is this a fair practice?
Well, first, I just want to make, and you kind of pointed it, but I want to say this again, that these are claims being made. There's no, it hasn't been confirmed that Sony does do this. It's been a lot of rumors, and now Microsoft is continuing to point that out. But it is not, again, this has been going on a long time, and it's brought up more because it's now kind of the fight to keep things off subscription services now. But this has been a fight for third-party games throughout these generations on these big consoles trying to get exclusive rights from third-party games, right? So this is not a unusual practice. And again, this is court talk, right? So both groups are going to bloviate their points to try to win their case. And so Sony is, bloviating and again, Call of Duty is a big IP when it comes to first-person shooters. And so, when someone brings up other games and other titles, it's hard to compare because of the magnitude that Call of Duty has for its genre. So I do understand kind of when they talk about, Call of Duty is kind of its own beast, because in the first-person shooter world, they are a very large beast, and compared to other kind of titles that they've had these kind of exclusive fights over, it doesn't feel as impactful. But I also understand, from Xbox point of view that, this is just standard business. The big part is, you know, we haven't seen a transaction like this in a long time, right? When it comes to the money being dished out by Microsoft buying companies, and that's what the real uh, fight about the monopoly part is. Is hey, Microsoft has this cash on hand that other companies don't have, and the worry is them scooping up a lot of these third parties that are on other systems. And so the fight right now is about Call of Duty, but I think for the bigger picture is trying to prevent Microsoft from continuing um, the trend that they've been doing, which is buying buying these studios that have been struggling and getting exclusive rights to their thing. This is the fight. I know we've been hearing content creators, Mars, talking about, it's going to be status quo with Call of Duty, status quo. But once 2024 comes around, right, when the contract with Sony and Activision comes to an end, that's what this fight is about. It's about 2024. It's not about the initial. It's about the future. And that's, it's not an illegal practice. It's been going on for a long time, but that's where the real fight is right now.
Yeah, and so Aki, I kind of want to get your opinion here too. Do you think that this blocking rights is a fair practice that Sony's doing? Like, I know that everyone was making such a big deal of, and this was a few years ago that they had rumored this, right? Where like they would pay, for example, Final Fantasy VII, right? Everyone keeps saying Final Fantasy VII, why is it not on Game Pass? Behind the scenes, right? We don't get to see every contract that games have, right? So Final Fantasy VII, you don't think Square Enix realizes that they can make more money by putting it on another console, by putting it on another platform? Yes, they realize that that would be the case. However, if Sony says, hey, I'm paying you more money to not put it on that other console, because like for a perfect example, like there's some Square Enix games that are on Xbox. Why is it that Final Fantasy VII isn't? It's essentially, and this is not confirmed, but it seems more like it, that Sony's paying more money to keep that game on Sony consoles versus having it cross-platform onto Game Pass, because we already know that Phil Spencer is itching to take out his wallet and start dishing money to companies to put their games on Game Pass. So, do you think that this blocking rights policy that Sony's doing, is that a fair practice?
Yeah, so again, if it's legal, if it is legal, which it is, it's fair game. So, and like you both mentioned, it's happened before. It's happened.
Talk a little louder, bro.
It's happened in the past. So my deal is if it's legal, it's fair play, right? So I think the only thing that it does is, and Angelic Gill, and you have mentioned it as well, is it hinders future progress, right? So Game Pass, as well as they can be taking that money that they're paying extra for a game not to be on Game Pass and possibly putting into their own shooter, their own first-person shooter. So I think they can be doing more for themselves than wrecking the Game Pass or the subscription for all the consumers.
Yeah, no, here's my thing. Like, I think, and I kind of already gave my two piece about the Law and Order fanboy unit and stuff, but
Yeah,
essentially, like,
I should wear a tie for this segment.
What's up?
Thought I should wear a tie. Almost was gonna think about wearing
Dude, I was for some reason both your volumes are low, but one thing I'm thinking to myself here is that I really wish I can have the Law and Order like dun-dun, like song for this segment, because of the fact that I literally, this whole court case feels like a scene or an episode from that, and it was kind of hilarious because it's almost like we're getting the day of date, exactly like everything about this like court case is happening verbatim, and I'm sitting here like, dude, like this is like just outrageous what's going on here. You know what I mean? Like this is.
What happens in this court case, both sides are going to claim victory, and neither of them are actually going to be winning. So no matter what happens, the war, they might win a battle. Obviously, Microsoft, this would be a good get. And we all anticipated this happening, right? And I think even Sony's anticipated this happening. This is a last-ditch effort to try to squash this thing before they have to make the decision by 2024. There's going to be some exclusive rights that are going to be missing from Call of Duty, and what are they going to do, right? and I think it's going to be trying to develop their own first-person shooter, which I hope is, or they're going to try to buy a smaller studio. Destiny was an option that they chose. Could they make another move? Right, so that's going to be the big question. This deal is going through. I think it's like a 97% chance that it goes through, and a very small margin, 3% on being kind, that it does not.
Yeah, no, listen, I completely agree with you guys here when it comes to, and that was kind of the other part. Do you think that any of these arguments are actually going to like do anything here? And I'll just gonna be quick. No, I don't think Sony's argument saying that this is going to change the framework of the entire gaming industry is going to say, tell the judge or any of the people on the board, oh, we got to stop this sale. No, it's not going to change anything because essentially, you know, you're still having competition. It's not like Call of Duty is the only shooter out there, right? And that's kind of the point. If they were the only FPS shooter that was in existence, and that was like, then I'd say, all right, well, then you can't own it outright, right? That's the kind of the point. And that's essentially like where Microsoft got in trouble a long time ago, was because a lot of the search engine issue, and that was when internet was really just starting to really take off, and that's why, you know, Microsoft was kind of using unfair practice back then, right? This is not necessarily an unfair practice. This is just a competitive practice, right? And I think I'm sure you guys were all in the same boat here. And Langelic already gave me what he said was he doesn't think it's going to change anything. Hockey, do you think this is going to change any of these arguments by Sony or Microsoft? Is going to change anything?
No, I think it's gonna. I'm with Langelico. I think it's a big chance that it does go through. And then yeah, battles for 2024 to see if they actually go, you know, full exclusive or have some, you know, exclusivity with, you know, it being out first on Xbox. So no, I don't think it's gonna change anything.
Won't be fully exclusive, but there will be some exclusive rights to Game Pass users.
I agree, because I think that now, but my biggest argument was that $68 billion, right, is a lot of money, right? And you're gonna go and you're just gonna say, all right, no, we're losing 73% of the people that play Call of Duty. We're losing them, right? I don't think that's gonna happen. I don't think they're just going to outright give that away. I think that there's a better chance of them keeping money flow going, but exclusive content I can see happen. Like, and I said this to Angelica before. Sony's done things before where, you know, like for example, the Avengers game, you know, since they own Spider-Man, they made it where it's like you can only get Spider-Man if you have it on PlayStation, right? And that is something that will entice people to, hey, let me jump over. Or, you know, some people like Colt Eastwood as well as others had said, hey, you know, when 2024 happens, you know what, maybe multiplayer will stay cross. Everyone can get access to it like Warzone and just standard multiplayer, but then campaigns will be sold specifically only on Xbox and PC, right? Could that happen? Possibly. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
PC, I'd just say Game Pass.
Or I think that they would give people the option. I think they would give people the option to buy it outright on Xbox and PC. That would just, I think that would hurt them still.
If you're excluding PlayStation alone, you have to exclude everybody but Game Pass. If you exclude, if you just exclude Sony and you give PC gamers, again, if they have Game Pass on PC, they could do it. But if you give PC players the option to play it outright, now you're excluding.
Dude, but that's going against that's going against everything that Microsoft has done. Like literally, they put every game on PC outright. Like, you know what I mean? Like that.
Well,
so for them to,
your worry was of them getting in trouble. Now,
yeah, but that would be even more. That'd be even worse. I think that would be even harder for them to pull off, because now you're saying only on Game Pass, not even allowed for people to buy campaign outright on the Xbox store. Now you're saying you can only do it on Game Pass. That's excluding, and I think that's worse, because now you're really losing all the money. Like, you're really, and I get it, your whole goal is to get people on Game Pass, but like by having people only get access a story on Game Pass alone, like you're gonna lose a lot of money on that deal. Like I get it, you're trying to get people on Game Pass, but like people are gonna be like, why, if I don't want, and you said this to me before, if I don't want games on Game Pass, why am I going to pay for Game Pass for one game? And I think that would be, you know, foolish of people to just to say that only one thing. But I don't think, I see them like selling, if they're going to make exclusive campaign accessible on PC and Xbox, and also you can gain it on Game Pass if you pay it, that gives people the option. And on top of that, it's an exclusive, right? It's exclusive to Xbox Xbox consoles and hardware, right? The Xbox community, Xbox Cloud, whatever you want to call it. Essentially, the PC groups and Xbox consoles will have access to the story, while Sony only gets access to multiplayer. And if you want to get access to the story, you have to either pay for it using Game Pass or buying it on your PC or an Xbox console, right? That would be, I could see that happening. I don't see them saying you can only pay it on Game Pass. I feel like that would be more counterintuitive for them, because now you're gambling with the fact that people might just want to play it. Like, they just want to play that one game, and that might be more hurtful to them in the long run.
Well, if the fear was getting in trouble, if you're just going to exclude Sony, then that's what.
Yeah, but you see how that's different though. But though I can understand what your point of view is with multiplayer going cross, because most of the people that are on Sony are playing multiplayer, right? If you're excluding campaign, that might say, hey, we're continuing multiplayer on everything, but campaign is more exclusive. You have to pay for just like how like Halo Infinite, right? Halo Infinite, you had to pay for the story, right? And you got multiplayer for free. I could see them doing a similar tactic, but now making multiplayer accessible to everyone, and then have campaign be paid. You have to pay for that story. Now, granted, you might lose money on that, which I'm sure they did with Halo, but the Halo community, they said, hey, we're buying story. Or, yeah, I'm buying the story. I'm paying for Game Pass to get that story, right? That's essentially what I think they'll do for COD, at least. But are we all good with that topic? We want to move on?
Yeah, I mean, unless there's comments on the chat, you want to.
Yeah, let's look at the chat here, guys.
Before we move on.
Yeah, so first off, I'm glad everyone is here, arriving, talking. A Mint saying Sony has been winning since Xbox 360, PS3. Next, as an Xbox fan, I will just say it outright. Yeah, listen, I think Xbox 360 was the time that Microsoft was thriving, and then once the Xbox One generation came in, that's when things started to shift, right? Because the fact is, they've been basically trying to catch up since then. Each company has Ilbermatic basically had agreed, saying, hey, each company has their own doing things, especially with game. It has their own way of doing stuff. I'm Sony and PS4 guy, but at some point was an Xbox gamer. Game industry is competitive. Yes, companies buying gaming studios and expanding. Game companies got their pros and cons, and I agree with you, man. I hear we're not like fanboys of like, we're not the radical fanboys here. We're sitting here.
I played every system, and I enjoyed content on every system from Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And the only one I haven't really dug too deep in is PC gaming. So that's kind of the one that I have. And I know you guys lean more Microsoft because you play more on Microsoft, but you don't dislike Sony. So to me, I like to say I'm probably the most moderate out of the three. But again, each game company I think has things they do well. And to me, I think Xbox at this point, and then you guys let me know if we go to the next topic. At this point, I think Xbox for first-person shooters has really set themselves up pretty well, especially when this transition goes through. I think Sony Studios is tremendous when it comes to experience first-person like adventure games. They're tremendous at making that experience type games that get you infused into those kind of
the over the shoulder story games. They kind of lead the race on that, to be honest with you.
They do, and they're tremendous at it. And internal development, they're very good at. And Nintendo is kind of like that fun system where you want to play a little more cartoonish stuff, family stuff. You go that route,
I agree. I completely agree, and I think that the thing is that people kind of have this misconception that you have to be a fanboy of a certain group. You know what I mean? Like, that you have to automatically be like, I favor one company alone, and anyone that is against me, I'm their enemy. Like, we played, every console. I know, Hockey, you're getting more into more consoles, right? Which is a great thing, right?
On PS1 and PS2.
Yeah, you played the old PlayStation games and consoles, dude. Like, me and Angelico, we've been playing literally every console since we've been growing up. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we started. We started on Nintendo. We jumped to PlayStation, and then we jumped to Xbox. Like, and then we're playing all of them throughout our entire lives. So it's essentially like we don't really favor. We have games that are franchises that we like love, right? And there's a lot of franchises that we love that are on all consoles. So essentially, like, we have experience in all these different groups. So essentially, for me to say like, nope, this one console's like, I'm anything that's this one console I'm against. Like, no, it's just like you can give an Ilbermatic is basically correct, like saying like there's a pros and cons to everybody, right? You can point out some negatives, point out some positives, and obviously whichever game you want to play on, is the thing, right? That's your preference. But let's jump on to the next topic. And this is going to be a pretty short one, but Call of Duty, gotta go along with this Activision Blizzard deal. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 beta dates have been announced, and I saw a lot of people kind of laughing because of the fact that obviously Sony has the exclusive early access rights to COD because of contract negotiations. And it's kind of hilarious because that fanboy unit discussion we just talked about has everything to do with COD, and essentially like they have access to that stuff early now. But I can guarantee you when contract changes, it's going to be the other way around. But obviously, when you're looking at the dates, if you are pre-ordering the game, you have access to it September 15th to 16th, where you're going to be starting, and then you have access to it, obviously, throughout the entirety. September 17th to 19th, if you're on PlayStation, you have access to it to all users. For everyone else, for PC and for Xbox, if you pre-order it, you get access 22nd or 23rd of September, and everyone else gets access to it 24th to 26th. So if you are playing on Sony consoles, pre-order it. You get access to it for September 15th all the way to September 26th. So you get access to that the entire time. And basically the big thing I'm kind of looking at here is obviously like, I kind of want to look at Modern Warfare, right? What is the biggest thing that you think that COD needs to do in order for this to be a good game compared to its previous installments? And we don't have to go all day long about this because there's a lot of things you can go into COD and like what you would want to see, but at least give me something that you think that COD Modern Warfare 2 needs to have to at least be better than Vanguard or better than Black Ops Cold War or even better than its predecessor and just Modern Warfare 2019. What do you think it needs to have in order to be better than those previous installments? And I'll let Hockey go first. What do you think is one thing that Modern Warfare needs to have in order to be better than its previous installments?
Yeah, so we've seen games, stray away from their core, and that has always, or for the last few, that has kind of failed them. So, and unfortunately, COD is kind of a cut and repeat type of game, or it has been. So, I do think they need to stick with their core. COD was very fun in high school. Black Ops 2 as well. They had some really great games. The core of the game is good, but I definitely think they need to sprinkle some new stuff on there. Like if they can bring back, or if they can start a like 50v50 Battlefield-esque, Warzone game, or just a more large scale war game.
Operations type stuff.
Yeah, like an operations or something like that. Just something different, but still they got to stick with their core.
Yeah, I agree. So Angelica, what's one thing you think, dude?
Well, everyone's waiting for Warzone 2, right? So I think we got to exclude the Battle Royale part because obviously that's the number one thing everyone's looking for. But things that, in the other parts of the game, again, I think the number one thing I'm looking for is just effort. It just feels that they don't put much effort into COD games anymore, and they're running into the Madden effect, which is simply just kind of a cop and paste, and they kind of just different. You just have a different face on the cover type stuff. And so I do like that they're going kind of back to the Modern Warfare stuff. I'm interested to see what the campaign does. It feels like they're rewriting the story of the Modern Warfare series. So it makes me a little nervous that they're doing that, but they're bringing back characters that everybody loves. So I'm interested to see the campaign aspect. But for me, the online, there have been, we played Advanced Warfare for a long time. And
no, you mean Modern Warfare, not Advanced Warfare. I was gonna say Advanced Warfare. We didn't play it that long.
No, we didn't play that one.
That was a gross one.
We played the one in 2019 for a long period of time, and there was a lot of fun aspects to it. I thought the maps were solid. I thought the gunplay was solid. And if they can give us that again, you'll see a lot of people playing Call of Duty, and we'll probably play it for a period of time. If you just see effort, good maps, good gunplay, and if they do add to sprinkle some new stuff, like Haki was saying, maybe an operations thing, maybe some more team aspects, I do think COD can kind of jolt some energy in people, especially since it's the last one until they're taking a break. I think it'll spark some interest for sure.
Yeah, and listen, I think I agree with you both here. I think the biggest thing for me would be, You know, they need to, in my opinion, they need to settle in on, you know, what's their long-term plan for Modern Warfare. Right? I look at Modern Warfare 2019 as being one of the most played Modern Warfare games, or Call of Duty games we played in like nearly 6 or 7 years, right? If you really think about the amount of CODs that have came out with, you know, the introduction of Ghosts, you know, Advanced Warfare, you know, the Black Ops 4, you know, World War II, Vanguard, you know, all these games have came out. Now, granted, Modern Warfare 2019 was one of the longest we've all played together. Black Ops Cold War was okay, but it also just got you angry completely when playing that game sometimes. Yeah, it got some really grossness, and the story was broken when it came to glitches and the amount of stuff that it had there. So I kind of want to see what Call of Duty's long-term goal is with Modern Warfare. Like, I know that after this year, they're essentially supposed to be taking a break for a year, which is great in my opinion, because they need buffer time to allow for these games to kind of get more thoroughly made. So I want to see Modern Warfare not only land a good game with a lot of content, with obviously a Warzone 2 and just have some good weapons and things like that, but I want to see that after that first year, are they going to have like a DLC? Are they going to have an expansion that will continue wanting me to keep playing it, right? Because I was ready to keep playing Modern Warfare 2019, but then they came out with Black Ops Cold War. And I felt like, okay, well, you know, obviously I'm going to try that out. And I was like, you know, I want to stay with Modern Warfare, but then they didn't add anything. They just like stopped. Like Modern Warfare just stopped its development. It was just like, all right, we're done. Right? Time to move on and get ready for Modern Warfare 2. Like, they need to now like settle down, and they need to kind of settle a long-term plan here. I think that would be the best thing that was, you know, for them. I want to see that, because then at least I can say, hey, Modern Warfare has some stuff for the future, and I'm really looking forward to continue playing it. Before we move on, I want to jump back to the chat. I want to kind of check in on all my Marzzman crew here. DJ, what's up? How you doing, man? Salonk, how you doing? Ghost Raccoon, what's up?
Oh, the crew's coming out.
All crew's here today. Yeah, listen, and a lot of guys, everyone's here talking about, you know, Call of Duty. Yeah, I think like my biggest thing is that like I really like want Call of Duty I want them to have a good game. I want them to have a good story and a full multiplayer that wants me to keep playing. And not like this, like Modern Warfare had some good aspects to it. But the only downside, it was like the battle pass was like sometimes just outrageous, man. It was like, instead of like the prestige system that really got them going, they kind of went away from that, and they went to the, like, every gun you get, you unlock. Once you unlock everything, that's it. You have that gun forever, and you're just continually trying to unlock camos and stuff like that. Like, I kind of like the grind of like, all right, you got to be smart with which guns you want to unlock, because you run out of time. Once you get the prestige, you might want to use that token to restart and all that stuff. So it's like, it kind of had that smart strategy of like knowing which guns you're going to unlock and ramp up and everything.
Give us a dope campaign that is not like woke, has to be, like, give us some good stuff. I don't care about, like, to me, you can be as diverse as you want. I don't really care. Like, just make it, like, make the character.
Make it good. Enjoyable. Make it a good story. Like, make it a good story. I don't mind being diverse at all. I think that's great. Yeah. But can you make story that like is compelling? Can you make a compelling story?
I don't care who the main character is at this point, but like they're bringing characters that we like, which is good. My big issue before we just move on real quick is that EA and Activision are kind of in the same boat to me at this point, where they've become fat and lazy, and they have done a disservice to us gamers who are huge fans of their IPs. They have just been copy and pasting all the BS year after year after year, and so that's
And then there's microtransactions and
yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, we can go on forever.
Jeez, well, okay. Let's move on, though. We got to try to get more positive. Let's go to Splatoon, all right? Splatoon 3. So, all right. So, if you didn't know, this week Splatoon 3 had Nintendo is really good at doing this. They always drop just a straight up random direct, right? That just talks about,
10 minutes.
All right, 10 minutes from now, we got like an hour long content drop. And now we got to go talk about it. And essentially, basically, when you look at what they do this all the time, right, Nintendo? So, the Splatoon 3 had its own little mini direct, essentially, which focused completely on the game. What were some new things that we're going to have for the story? as well as the multiplayer, new maps, abilities, mechanics, weapons. And they did actually show off, obviously some things like a pink katana, things like that, like a social space where you can go meet up with people locally or your friends and kind of join in their games. They're going to be arriving with 12 maps. Some of them are going to be returns from Splatoon 2. They also did add some new ones as well. They also had, when you look at the reactions of this game or this direct specifically, it was mixed, right? You had most people who were pretty positive. They said, hey, this game looked fun. They had some new game modes that were they had almost like a multi-team type of game mode, which was pretty interesting. They had some things that were really good in showing. Then you had obviously negatives where it's all right, well, this game doesn't necessarily look like a full-fledged title that has a boatload of stuff that's changes from Splatoon 2. It looks like you're expanding Splatoon 2 and just making more content, more added weapons, maps, activities, social space, like that stuff. It didn't really they didn't talk about co-op, split screen. They didn't talk about any of that stuff. They didn't really give you much about the story. They just introduced some characters. So essentially, what did this really give you more excitement to play Splatoon 3? Were you looking at this game as being oh wow, I'm excited now. I want to play Splatoon 3. I'm looking forward to trying this title out. Or were you more this is like a Splatoon 2? Or do you think that this can even compete with some of the other, I guess you would call it I guess this is considered a shooter, a competitive shooter. I mean, it's different. It's it's a paint game, right? It's not necessarily so I guess this would be considered a shooter in the genre sphere. One, do you think are you excited for Splatoon 3 or are you feeling like this is just an expansion? Angelica, I'll let you go first here. Do you think that this is a Splatoon 2 DLC that's just painting, no pun intended, painting as a Splatoon 3 or what? What do you think here?
Oh, that's always the concern, right? And so, I don't want to make any final decisions until we see the full-fledged game. Again, this is kind of a trailer. So I don't want to make any rash decision. The thing about Splatoon to me, which has a huge following in the Nintendo circles, um, it's a cartoon shooter. And I do think it's been a successful one.
Yep.
For Nintendo. The only thing that always bothered me is I always wanted the option to play split screen in Splatoon, and I never really had that opportunity. That if we could do a split screen and play somebody online, I think, or play with somebody online, I think that dynamic is something that Nintendo just hasn't reached yet. And I do think when they do, I do think it opens up a lot of avenues for their type of games because there is a lot of, Nintendo's a big play with other type console thing, much more than Microsoft and Sony with the split screen aspect than the other consoles do. And so if they could, that's just something I was looking for and I didn't get, like you mentioned, do we have some split screen option? Do we have the chance like in Mario Strikers, right, where you can play split screen and play with someone from a different console? That kind of stuff I think would be pretty cool. And so I didn't get that, which is the disappointing part. You're always concerned when you only see characters is this just a DLC? Adding some party modes and stuff like that. But I will hold my final verdicts obviously until we get closer and when the full-fledged game comes out.
Yeah, no, I agree. And obviously, so Haki, you're new to the Nintendo train, and you're a big shooter guy, right? That's what you were. You're an Xbox shooter guy for a long time, right? And does this game intrigue you at all? Does this look like a game to try out that you want to play and are excited to try out?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's cool. I did watch some gameplay. Now I don't know if Splatoon 1 and Splatoon 2 are they $60 games? So they
well nowadays are definitely like this.
Yeah,
when they
came out, they were
they were full-fledged games. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so again, I don't know if I have to play Splatoon 1 and 2.
No.
You don't. No. So I did watch the gameplay. Like I said, I liked it. It's pretty cool. I think it would definitely be a more fun game if I can play with other people, which obviously you can. So I definitely think it will be something that I do cop. And you guys will tell me if it is or not. If I'm paying 60 beans, it better be a full game. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. I know you guys are. If we're paying full price, I want a full, completely new game. So definitely cool looking game, different, but that's what Nintendo is. They're like a different type of console that has different type of games. Like Angelica said, a lot of that family vibe going on with the games, playing with your family, the same console. So as long as they come out with a full-fledged game, I'll definitely cop it.
Yeah, listen, I think for me, I'm interested to see how Splatoon 3 is. I don't think I've been intrigued enough to be like, yo, this is going to be a pre-order this game at all. I think I'm going to wait. I want to see how the game looks, how the game is. Is it full of content? Are they lacking content? And because if you look at like things like Mario Strikers at launch was lacking stuff, right? Now they became a live service game, and usually Nintendo's never really been a live service type of deal.
And I think I saw that in the chat. They're big DLC people.
Yes,
right? So
they are very good, and Emblematic, you're completely right, dude. Yeah. It is. They are big in DLC drops, right? You know, that's like their big thing they always like to do. So they could essentially be doing that for this game and adding more and more stuff. Yeah, that's possible.
Give us more.
They gotta give us more stuff at launch.
Towards the live service now, and not the DLC part. Like they give you a full game, and then they'll drop DLCs to add content. Now they're kind of giving us. Now we're seeing with Strikers and the Fears with Splatoon. Now they're giving us kind of half-baked games, and they're adding to the half-baked game as they go along, which is concerning.
Make it full game, and that's not what we're paying for.
That's not what,
full game.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you guys. And essentially, like, you know, I want to see how the game is. I think it could be really good, but I want to see how people look at it first. So let's look at the next. Before we move on, look at the chat here. Yep, Ilvermatic. Yep, completely agree, dude. With the DLC, like Nintendo's, like they're big on that, dude. I think that's kind of the biggest thing. And Cowboy John, what's up, man? How you doing? We're doing our newscast tonight. Talking about the biggest gaming news topics of the week. So let's jump on to the next one, Multiverse. So Multiverse, if you don't know, is essentially a very popular or up-and-coming popular fighting game that essentially has hit the scene, and it's very similar in concept and in combat, essentially, to Super Smash Bros. On the Switch. Now, what's interesting about Multiverse, if you don't know, it's owned by Warner Brothers. Now, Warner Brothers, obviously, all the craziness that's going on with the movie scene in Warner Brothers is outrageous. But when it comes to the game, they're essentially trying to keep this thing afloat, not trying to cancel anything because of the popularity that it has. But since that Warner Brothers owns a lot of different types of content, it does kind of pave the way for a plethora of characters that can be added to this game. We're talking about characters from movies, TV shows, from superheroes like Batman, to Shaggy, to Rick and Morty as their first major expansion, to LeBron James because he was in that Space Jam movie. Like, we're talking about like a lot of possible different characters. I even heard rumors of Walter White being added to this thing. Like, you know, we're talking like a lot of different characters. And it's kind of outrageous, dude. Like,
Meth Blast in one of those things?
Yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, I don't know. But one thing I'll say is that right now it's available, and actually your boy Marzzman is going to go try this out at some point, do a nice little review of it, and kind of make a comparison and say, hey, does this thing even stand a chance to Smash Brothers? I will do that very shortly. But basically, a lot of people are saying, hey, they're enjoying it. It's in beta state right now, so everyone has access to it for free. You don't have to pay a dime. You can just play it. But that also means that the game is not fully released with not every character available currently. Now, what is the issue here is that essentially they have announced, a recent report has stated, that the full release of the game has been delayed. And this is causing concern because Warner Brothers has just been destroying and decapitating a lot of their major movies they've been working on. And people are fearful that this could lead possibly to a shafting of this new game that people like. And people are also worried that if you're going to keep delaying this game's beta, the popularity is going to decay and just disappear. Because let's look at a perfect example. Everyone thought that Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl was going to take over the reins of Smash Brothers because Smash Brothers, you know, creators had said, hey, we're done making another Smash Brothers game. Like, this is it. There's nowhere else you can go from here, right? You added nearly close to like 100 characters to a game, and you're like, dude, what else can we do, right? You did everything. So all of a sudden, Nickelodeon All-Stars Brawl comes in, and it kind of filled the void of a new fighting game that was what Smash Bros. Was doing, right? They showed up, had been popular for like maybe 2 months, 3 months, disappears, right? So in comes Multiverse. Multiverse essentially is the same type of build. Good gameplay, cool characters. If you don't release more people, you don't release the full game, you might lose out on everything. And my question for you guys is, and I'm going to do my own video on this, do you think this game stands a chance to Smash Brothers in popularity? Do you think it could ever stand a chance to the big dogs known as Smash Brothers? And Haki, I'll let you go first here. Do you think it stands a chance?
Yeah, so I definitely think it's a cool thing that Warner Brothers. I don't know if this is their first jump into video games ever.
I think they're trying. Well, here's the thing: they do own IPs because, like, Batman, like Arkham, like they own like that IP. They do have a Warner Brothers game studio, but yes, they essentially, this is the first fighting game that was like this type that they've ever done before. Yes.
Yeah, so I think it's a cool concept. I think one of the you might have sent it in the chat or the group text that you can play as Shaggy, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if the chat or you guys have seen those Shaggy memes in the last like 2 or 3
That he becomes like a Super Saiyan.
They are hilarious. I mean, I think the amount of characters, strong characters that they have, that they can bring into this game if they're able to kill the beta, and then bring back or bring to fruition a very cool fighting game. I think it'll definitely be a cool game that will get a lot of love. Well, do I think it's going to stand up to Super Smash Brothers? I don't think any fighting game in a cartoon world will ever stand up to Smash Brothers. I think it has way too much history. It has fantastic gameplay. So Smash Brothers, I think, will be at the top, if not forever, for a very long time. But this game does have some pretty cool aspects.
Yeah, so I do agree with you. I mean, I want to let Langelica here because we've all played Smash Brothers like nearly our entire lives. What do you think this game stands a chance to Smash Brothers at all?
Historically, no, but Smash Brothers is pretty much over, so it does leave an opportunity for them. You know, if the fighting is enjoyable. I have not played it yet. I've had said people have enjoyed it. I'd like to see the feel. It looks like Smash Brothers, but doesn't play exactly like it. So I'm curious to see the gameplay of it, how smooth it runs. But we know the Smash Brothers formula works, right? So if you lean closer to Smash Brothers, I think you have a chance. And what Smash Brothers did, what was great this past one, is the boatload of characters that they gave you. And so if Warner Brothers can kind of do that as well, I do think it is. But you made a great point that, hey, you got to strike while the iron's hot. And the fear to me is, I don't think, when you have these kind of small games that kind of hit things, like Among Us, or even like Fall Guys, I think it could fall into a Fall Guys thing where there was a period of time where Fall Guys crashed and burned. And now more recently they've been shooting back up. Right?
Yeah.
But it's hard to go back up. So you want to try to hit it at a peak and keep going. And the longer you wait, like you said, people can kind of get, hey, it was cute for a little bit, but I'm kind of done.
No, I agree. I think the biggest thing Warner Brothers has in their ability and their ownership is they have characters, right? You have a bunch of characters that people can recognize, that they know, and they can either make funny memes about or just be like, yo, this is epic, right? Shaggy being like a top tier character that's like a Super Saiyan, like people are dying over that. Or like Velma's like power up is calling the cops. Like, you know what I mean? Like things like that where you're just like, like what? Like, you know what I mean? Like goofy stuff. But like it's funny because you're like, dude, like you're literally like, yo, what? I like what's going on? Yeah, so John Durskin, this is we're talking about the newscast from a Multiverse right now, dude. So I think honestly that's hilarious. Like the fact that you have like Batman versus Shaggy, or like Batman versus Tom and Jerry, straight on just like battling out. Like, and I think the cool thing about this game, and I want to try it out in a longer playthrough, but just reading up on and watching people play, there's like different difficulties based on characters that you have. Like apparently Bugs Bunny is like the OG most dominant character in the entire game. And I'm just sitting here laughing as I'm like, yo, Bugs Bunny, like straight up, like just whipping people's asses and stuff. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like yo, come on. Like it's crazy. Yeah, it's fun. And that's the thing. Like, is it fun? Do they have good maps? Do they have good music? Do they have characters? And when Rick and Morty drop in there, that's going to be hilarious but that's the point. It's delayed. And essentially now we're waiting for Rick and Morty, waiting for LeBron James, to show up. LeBron James special is going to dunk on you. Like that's his special. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like it's honestly like some of that stuff is hilarious, but they have the ability to be goofy and to like do some funny stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's their ability to do some interesting things here, right? Can they pull that off? It's possible. Do I think it's like guaranteed? We'll see, right? So before we move on to the next topic, I kind of want to catch up on the chat here. We got Mr. Nugget, appreciate it, dog. Uploading more live streams will go with bigger audience.
That's the goal, my man.
Yeah, that's a goal, dude. Obama prison, just Obama prism. Yeah, I was just talking to John Deerskin.
Thanks for subbing, bro.
Appreciate the sub, dog. Thanks, dude. Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Multi-platform, multi-game group right here, dude.
We are as essentially as multi-console as possible. So like at the end of the day, like we're here just talking up multiple different types of games. And Cowboy, yeah, I heard the game is a new game and it's fun. I want to try it out, and I can guarantee you it's free. You know, we will play it. You know what I mean? We will play the game. We'll try it out. I'm going to make my whole review of the game, and we'll have a blast. We'll talk about it. So let's move on now to the next thing, and we're going to talk about the continued saga of Activision Blizzard Crap Fest. There's a lot of stories that are going on. We're not going to talk about in crazy detail of everyone, but I do want to reference some key things that were talked about. First off, Activision Blizzard, this is a pretty big one for them, loses 11 million monthly users since March. Let's just say, the whole reason why Microsoft can purchase Activision Blizzard wasn't because they are on the top of their game and everything's going well, right? They are losing 11 monthly users, and I'm sure that when Call of Duty does return, they will make some of that back. But the point is that like they lost a lot of people to their games, right? And essentially like they aren't doing perfectly well. You know what I'm saying? So obviously the fact that Vanguard has been a major disappointment in total amount of players that they have, even though it's a top selling game, people aren't playing it anymore. They just spent the money and just aren't playing it now, which is obviously sucks for them. Secondly, they also made at the same time, looking at the opposite point of view, they lost 11 million people on their games. They also made more money on mobile games than PC and console sales combined, right? And we're thinking mainly about Diablo Immortal being that literally that cash grab has stolen money from people in a large way, right? And I think like when you're looking at these stories of showing how 11 million people have left their console games, and 2, mobile games had made double or basically combined a PC and console sales combined just on a mobile game. Because think about it, they also own King, which is Candy Crush. So Candy Crush, Diablo Immortal, those sales made more than any PC game and console game combined. Are you nervous about the future of gaming with the emphasis on mobile gaming and as well as live service games? Because clearly mobile games are making a crap ton of money. And we all know that console developers are like, hey, if I can make a mobile game that makes way more than a Call of Duty game does, I might do less effort, make microtransactions in that thing, and I'm going to make a killing off of it. Are you nervous that the future of gaming is looking more towards these mobile games as their way of, making more money, or even live service? I know live service games are becoming like the norm for consoles and PC stuff, dude. Like it's insane. Are you nervous that the future of gaming is transitioning to being this style? Like, and Angelic Kill, we talked about a lot. I'll let you talk first, dude. Are you nervous about this, man?
Hell yeah. This is terrible for gaming. I'm sorry. It's awful. We already seen the live service aspect play in real time. And it's up to the consumer. It's up to us, unfortunately, to when a company gets fat and gets lazy and just does this copy and paste and calls themselves live service, we should punish them. We should come together and blast them when they do it. And if they keep doing it, we got to stop buying their games. I mean, we have to send a message, or they will keep doing it. They will keep doing it, keep making the excuse when development doesn't go well that they're a live service game. And it's not easy because there's some titles that we love that have been doing it, and like it's not good for gamers. And the mobile gaming thing is one of the scariest things because it is a microtransaction fest, and time saver fest and time blocking fest, where they just want you to, you're going to be hit with a crap ton of roadblocks, and the only way to get through it is either to wait or to pay money to get to the next part. And we know this is a formula that they're using more and more of, and it's a scary sight. And we need to keep. Hey, if you want to keep that on mobile, that's fine, but do not let that bleed into our console games, because that's going to be the worst thing that can happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Hakia, man, what do you think, dude? Are you fearful of this future of gaming, man?
Yeah, so just like Angelico said, I mean the whole live action or live service aspect, we've seen it fail. It's not cool. The microtransactions, I feel like, and I think we're all in agreement, they've just been getting worse and worse. The whole mobile gaming, there are more people with mobile phones than consoles, right? So that's why they can make a boatload of money. I'm pretty sure the Candy Crush, the top player in the world, is a 50-year-old woman, you know? So, like, not everyone plays consoles, but almost everyone.
Got an iPad or a phone, man.
Yep.
Right? And from Pokemon Go to Apex Legends, I got a coworker that,
Or even COD Mobile, dog, is making a killing. Yeah.
So like like I said, I got a guy coworker who plays Apex Legends mobilely on lunch. So the mobile gaming outreach is a lot more people. So that's how they can make money. But like Angelico said, it is just a death trap for microtransactions. And I mean, I saw that in Pokemon Go when I was hacking, and I'm in Japan, and I'm trying to catch all these things on my hacked Pokemon Go account, and I'm just, I can't.
Hopefully, no one's watching that.
Yes, no, hopefully no one from Nintendo is watching.
I can't get Pokeballs because I never spend money on Pokemon Go. I told myself I'd never do it, so I had to swipe the Pokestop and then wait 5 minutes. So it's either you wait or you pay. So it's bad, man.
Yeah, listen, I'm always like, I always know that, money is always a driving force for these developers. We all know this, right? That's essentially always been the factor. So yeah, I'm nervous about the future of gaming because the fact is that they're gonna look at profits as being the only thing that matters, obviously, to them. But for us gamers, we're gonna be hitting on not only just our wallets, but just our enjoyment of gaming. You know what I mean? We're gonna get hit with these constant like, you gotta pay for this to get the next level to upgrade to the next thing. And it's just like you're constantly getting hit with this live service crap that's essentially not complete, right? And they're just gonna add stuff later on the fact. And this mobile gaming, it's like, you know what? Like for me, I'm lucky enough that I don't play mobile games. Like I try to avoid just gaming on my phone because it could suck you in. You know what I mean? But for a lot of people, they're getting sucked in, right? And it's like, dude, it's kind of like it's messed up because you're going to start seeing more resources funnel to mobile gaming than actual console or PC gaming. And you're like, those are where I play, right? And all of a sudden now mobile gaming is becoming the priority. Like, no, that's crazy, right? Because PC and console gaming has been a lot older than mobile gaming. And it's like, those are the where most gamers are from. You know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, but yeah, I think I am fearful of the future of gaming. Before we move on to the next topic, I want to jump on chat, see how everyone's doing here. We have Obama Prisms going off. Death says, I like your Halo live streams. I appreciate it, Death. I really appreciate, that you're coming out to support, whether we're streaming Halo live today or we're doing our newscast live. Obama Prism say, I'm the wise Obama Prism. Kevin's telling me there's an interesting chat. Appreciate that, Kevin. Mr. Nugget, does agree with us on that. Obama Prison, saying, Mr. Nugget, you will
saying weird stuff right now.
Mr. Nugget, you'll get 400 subs when you get 400 subs. I'm pretty sure, yeah. Once you get 400, you'll get 400. USAS, dude. So he's saying won't be streaming or drop content anymore. What's going on with that, dude?
What? That's not good news.
No, that's not. No.
Don't be bailing.
No, dude, you don't be dropping out. Don't be dropping out.
Stay strong, bro.
No, yeah, don't be dropping out, dude. Don't listen. At the end of the day, man, you're our dog, man. You're always sticking around us. We always support you as well, man. Don't be dropping out of the content thing now, man. I'm telling you, it's honestly like it's tough sometimes, dude. And you know what? I know that like communities are like toxic a lot of times, man. But like, don't let that stuff like get to you. That's my big thing. Yeah, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. You're a good content creator. You have passion for gaming, right? Having people that have passion for gaming that want to make content and have live streams and do stuff that they enjoy, right? You should continue doing that. I'm telling you,
Yeah,
It's gonna suck.
if you like it, and if you like it, do stuff you like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The following will come. It ain't easy, but just do stuff you like. I mean,
Yeah,
this
dude.
is it,
And
it should be a
you know it
job.
too. And you Sas, you know it too, man. Toxicity, it's tiring, bro. It's tiring. And I completely agree that sometimes you look at one fan base and you're like, yo, I'm tired of hearing from this group or one other group, whatever it is, but don't let that stuff get to you. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, at the end of the day, I hear it too, bro. We all hear it. All three of us, we all hear it. You hear it, we hear it, everybody in chat hears it. It's toxic, it's annoying, but don't let that like be the cause of why you don't do what you like to do. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let that bother you, man. And John Deerskin, it takes years to become a popular YouTuber and streamer. Look at Mr. Beast. It took him years to get to where he is now.
John speaking
Dude, John, you literally are completely right. Mr. Beast is like killing the game because he literally like he found a way around the algorithm and he's killing it. But at the same time, like the Act Man hit 1.5 million people in it took years. Look at like RTU, like Rich of Review Tech. He's been doing it for 15 plus years, man, and he just hit 1 million. You know what I mean? Like,
and there are stories of like people who explode right away, but
yeah,
that's so rare.
Yeah,
so rare. I mean,
and it takes time.
It takes years of work to do that kind of stuff. You know?
Yeah, man. It's just like it's a grind. You're grinding to get to where you want to be, and at the end of the day, dude, if it's about the growth, then don't worry. That will come, right? Everything I read up, researched before starting YouTube was things are gonna be darker before they're dawn. You know what I mean? It's gonna get tough before it gets better. You know, and we're growing steadily here, but yo, it's a grind. We're out here grinding. We do these videos, we do live streams, we do all that stuff all the time. We just hit 150 videos uploaded. I literally got a notification saying, "Hey, you just hit 150 videos that you either did live streams or content." I'm like, damn, that's a lot of stuff, right? We just passed 300. So it's like, dude, trust me, I feel you, man. It's tough. Life stuff, it gets busy, but don't just jump away from it. You know what I mean? I know you're passionate about it, Usa, so don't just jump away from that, dog. Yeah, it took Mr. Beast 13 years.
Yeah,
right?
He's also outrageously popular now.
He's outrageously right. He's one of those guys that's just extremely popular right now.
Yeah.
I feel you, man. He is one example of a guy that's been doing it for a long time and now is that super popular guy. It's tough, dude. It's tough, but don't worry. I don't want to see you just jump off of that, man. All right. Let's jump on to our Discord questions. Just a side note before we jump to Discord, I want to recognize Jervalin. He did one of the most impossible things I thought no one could ever do. And basically, he was the first person to ever complete a Halo 2 Laso Undeath challenge. Moist Critical put out that $20,000 challenge that if you can complete Halo 2 Laso, all skulls on except for Ivy, without dying, you get 20 grand, right? Everyone said it was impossible. Jervalin basically was a live streamer, a gamer, Halo 2 like pro essentially, speedrunner that was doing this for years. Just recently, I think within 2 weeks, he basically beat it in a live stream. 6+ hours he took, beat it. Now, granted, using speedrunner techniques does help, but it takes a lot of practice. I can't just be like, you know what? Yeah, let me look up this speedrunner technique. Let me just do it right now. Like, dude, this is practice. It takes practice and countless hours to get that stuff mastered. And I was watching the live stream for a little bit. I would tune in, jump off, watching content creators look at it. That was like hype to see the ending. I would be freaking out. I literally was talking to other guys like other content creators that were like, they did the live streams covering it. And I was like, dude, I think it was Kevin Kulex. I jumped on, I talked to him about it. I was like, if I was sitting in the he like got a Banshee in the final level to fight Tartarus. I'm sitting there like, if I was in a Banshee, knowing how fragile that thing is in Halo 2 Legendary, I would be crapping my pants in that final part. And this dude was as cool as a cucumber, dog. He was like, I got it. Don't worry. He almost got stuck. I literally almost crapped my pants watching him almost get killed. No one has ever done that before. And that guy deserves a lot of credit. As all people who played Halo before, Halo 2 Legendary, by its That is impressive, dog. Um, I wonder what Moist Critical's next challenge is going to be. It's going to be really interesting. Uh, but yeah, so let's go over the Discord questions. First off, big question here: do you think making of Halo Infinite and MCC are similar in the state that they are launched? This is from our own Cowboy John here. Good question. I think yes. You look at Master Chief Collection and the way it launched broken. Like this game launched literally unplayable. Like this was unplayable. The game literally would crash. Every game was lag central, lag fest. You couldn't do a thing. You couldn't even connect the game, and then when you did, you're just constantly lagging all over the place. And it was heartbreaking because I'm like, yo, I was so excited to play Master Chief Collection. Go play Halo 2 Anniversary. Go play this stuff, and I was like, I can't even do that. It was sad, but thank goodness they fixed it over time. I think the only difference is Halo Infinite wasn't necessarily broken. It just didn't have content. Like, I think that's the problem. Like Halo Infinite, like core gameplay was good, has like the mechanics worked, but like there's just not enough stuff to play. And like you played for hours, and all of a sudden, like day 5 of playing the same 3 maps on Big Team Battle, you're like, can I get some more maps, please? Like I'm playing only ranked or playing bot Slayer, and you're like, can I get some Team Slayer here? I don't want to play Cash and Flag. I just want to play some Team Slayer. And that essentially got people to be really upset in the beginning of Halo Infinite. But I can agree to the point where it's similar to people were upset in the beginning, and I think as time progresses, they're going to be less upset about it. Like MCC now is kind of rocking with popularity wise. It's doing well. They added a lot of new seasons content and armors, even stuff they just created to add into the games, which was good. And I feel like Halo Infinite will probably be in the same boat. I feel like once they like, they start adding content, people are going to jump back on and start playing it again. Like I think that's what my opinion is. And granted, maybe I'm just a Halo homer and I'm just hoping for the best, but I think that once they add Forge and stuff like that, it's going to open up the floodgates. More people will jump back on, and it should be interesting. Langella Kill, do you think that they're similar in the way they had launched?
I'm not going to say that they are similar. I think it's different, and it's kind of what you described. The Master Chief Collection had a lot of playlists and a lot of different avenues you can go. You can play all different Halo games from 1, 2, 3, and 4. But the core of the game was broken, as in you couldn't. They had game breaking issues, and so it completely destroyed the experience. And it took a while for them to fix it. On the other side, um, Infinite just didn't have content. The core gameplay was fine for the most part. They just didn't have stuff to keep people on.
Yep.
So that to me is a big difference. But it's true. The aspect that does make it similar is that they both came out with flaws and that upset the Halo universe. That's the only thing that I find similar about it, but in different aspects. I think the Master Chief Collection is actually worse than Infinite because you can't put out a broken game. It's better to put out a game that has less content than a broken game. And so that to me is the biggest difference between the two.
Yeah. And Hockey, do you think that how are they similar in your opinion?
I mean, I think I'm gonna just agree with you guys. So, the similarity is, they both kind of launched, and it was a little upsetting for both of them, but definitely more upsetting for the Master Chief. Me and my roommate in college would set up multiplayer, leave it there for 45 minutes to an hour, go do something else, and then when it actually, got into a game, then we would play a 10-minute game, and then we would have to do it all over. You'd be playing for 3 hours and play two or three games. So that game was completely broken. The story, obviously, 1 through 4, all that stuff was fantastic. The multiplayer, unfortunately, was just so bad with Infinite, and we're all in agreement. It's just missing content. It's still missing content.
Yeah.
For me, it's unfortunately getting a little stale. I know for Angelica, it's getting a little stale. Mars,
Mars is hanging strong.
I'll still play it.
He's
I'm still playing it.
yeah, Mars is hanging on there. He's hanging. But we need like it came out a third of the way. It came out with an okay multiplayer. It didn't come out with co-op. It didn't come out with Forge and the things that Halo is known for. So, um, I'm going to agree with you guys. It had some similarities, it had some differences. But yeah, we're focused on Infinite. It needs to come out with a perfect Forge, and then so on for it to be, a top 5 game, Halo
Yeah,
game. Because it has
yeah.
dropped drastically for me in my top,
I think
top.
I was right out of the group, guys. I'm gonna claim
It's
victory.
dropped.
I'm gonna claim victory as
I'm
the
still
most.
holding out hope. I'm still holding out hope over here. It's still
It
four for
could. It
four for
could be a
me.
top 3 Halo game if they don't mess it
Yeah,
up.
yeah. That was a little much, Hockey. Before we move on to the last thing, I do want to look at the chat here. Mr. Nugget, yes, it was only 6 hours long that Jervalin was able to beat that. Kevin, our Discord is located in the description below. You can go check it out there. If you want to join us on Discord, man, that's great. Mr. Nugget, out of every game that you've played, which is your all-time favorite? All-time favorite, jeez. What is your all-time favorite? Okay. All-time favorite. Interesting. All-time favorite of every game I've ever played, my all-time favorite. I'm thinking about like all-around game. All-around game, my favorite. I'm gonna maybe I'm sounding like a homer here, but I'm thinking Halo 3, to be honest with you. Halo 3 or Halo 2. I mean, Halo 3, the reason why is because the multiplayer is so good. You can play with anybody you wanted, right? And the story was fantastic. Now, I think Halo 2 is a better Halo game, but Xbox Live back then was not as big as it was in Halo 3. And on top of that, I was also young as hell. I was 8 years old playing Halo 2, and I was getting clapped when playing that game. When I first was playing it, I was only 8 years old. I was not doing well, let's just say. But as years went on, Halo 3 came out. Your boy was getting older, and I was getting better at gaming. So now I'm sitting here like, I'm ready to roll. Like, I'm ready to go Halo 3 style. And I started doing well. So I felt like for me, Halo 3 was probably because I thought the story was so well done. One of the best endings you can ever have for a story game. And on top of that, the multiplayer was it felt good, simple, had a lot of stuff. It was really good. I thought all around, probably my favorite game to play because on top of that, you can play co-op, split screen, you can play co-op online. You can play up to 4 people on your console, 4 people on another console, and you got a big team battle team. Like you're ready to roll, like with just two Xboxes, right? You know what I mean? Like Halo 3 was in a time period where there was top level games out there. Halo 3 was my favorite. Angelica, do you have a favorite of all time that you have?
That's a tough one. I'm kind of fighting between a few games, but I think I'm gonna go with a classic, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, because that was kind of a game that opened my eyes into what a adventure game could be, and at that time it was pretty revolutionary. So I'm gonna go with Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
All right. Haki, what's your favorite game,
Elden
bud?
Ring, all right.
Oh my god.
No, I'm messing with you guys. No. I'm gonna piggyback off Mars. My favorite game, and I ranked it number 1 in my favorite Halo games. It's gonna be Halo 3. It's a mix between Halo 3, GTA, Far Cry. I think either 3 or 4. So there's definitely a few in that mix of top games for me. But I'm gonna probably say Halo 3 just because the multiplayer was untouched by pretty much any game still today, and the story was as Marzzman said, the story was just fantastic. So I'm gonna go with Halo 3 / Elden Ring.
Yeah. I mean, my thing is that my thing is this, like, when picking your favorite, it's really tough, right? Because like you're thinking, in my opinion, I'm always thinking of multiple, like what's my top 5 or top, you know what I mean? Because like if you're looking at like story games or like open world games or like things like that, like you can start narrowing down specific games you felt were the best, right? In each category for the most part. You know what I mean? Like if I'm looking at best story game, there's a chance that I could say either Ocarina of Time or I can go with Witcher 3. You know what I mean? I could go one of those two as being like a best story game or even just open world. I'd be like Witcher 3. Best open world game I think I've ever played, right? I think because like overall it had everything you would want in an open world game, had everything you want in a story RPG game. And I'm sitting here like, dude, this is my first Witcher game ever was Witcher 3. And I'm walking into the series finale And I'm like, dude, this is a sick ass story. I mean, I'm sitting there like, yo, I never played this before. And to the point where like me and Angelica, like after I beat the game and he watched me beat it, I was like, we like started watching old games. We're like, dude, this story's sick. Like, this is a sick ass story. I can't believe I never played it. To the point where I bought Witcher 3 in the store. Dude, I don't know if I told you guys the story. I got Witcher 3, right? I walk into GameStop. Hey, I saw Witcher 3 was like a 10 out of 10 on everywhere. It was like the game of the year. It was like the best game out there. And it was like the year where everyone was like, yo, this is going to be the game of the year, easily. And it was the year where Metal Gear Solid 5. Metal Gear Solid 5, Fallout 4, Tomb Raider, like, you know, and all these games are awesome. Witcher 3, they're like, yo, best game, this is 10 out of 10. Only perfect game they rated the entire year. And I was like, okay, I got to try this game out. So I go there to GameStop, and this is in Jefferson Valley Mall. I go in there and like, can I get Witcher 3? And he's just like, wait, you ever played the other games before? And I was like, no, that was my first one. He's like, dude, you're going to love it. And he pulls out, he's got the chain. He's got the wolf chain of like the Geralt. The guy, main character has his wolf chain. I was just like, he's like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, I don't even know what that means, but yeah, that's cool, dude. And then after the fact, dude, I'm sitting there like, yo, that's actually sick. I'm sitting there like, yo, that guy had the Geralt chain. But literally when he still showed to me, I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool, dude. Can I get the game now? Like, but he was talking it up heavily before I even bought it, and he was right. This game was sick, and the series story was sick, and like it sparked me to become like a major fan of the series when playing this game, right? So I'm sitting here like, yo, that game might be up there as one of the best games like ever, dog. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. But yeah, so we might have to call it for this one. We've been doing this for an hour and 20 minutes. We're gonna continue. We have another question that was on Discord. We'll add that to next week's show. So don't worry. This is from our boy Ghost Raccoon. I don't want to tell him that we're not doing your question, dog. We'll do that one next week. No worries. But first off, I want to thank everybody that came out to showing up on the newscast. It does mean a lot. That basically, usually we do this in a just recorded setting, but doing this in live stream is different. But I wanted to try it out to see how we do, see how everything goes. Obviously, live action, you know, like trying to amp up everything here. But I do appreciate everyone that came out to watch on Twitch as well as on YouTube. And if you haven't done so yet, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe on YouTube for more future content. And on Twitch, please make sure you hit that follow button. We're trying to get ourselves to affiliate. I do appreciate everyone that came out to support. This is the Marzzman crew. This is Marzzman here signing off of the night.